Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome tonight. I seem hope you are great. So I am seeing video of a white woman talking about how white women centering themselves in our deconstruction is performative and not allyship with black and people of color. So the other one is also saying white women and anti-racism allyship, right? So we are going to break this down and how black people see white people's allyship and all that, solidarity and the rest of it. You and I know that I personally do not believe in allyship because one minute they want to be ally with you, the other minute you find that they are nowhere to be found. So I would rather not even believe in it at all than believing in you, and in the end you do what you know how to do best. If you all remember what happened before the election, everything that is going on today was what black people saw ahead of time after reading Project 2025 and decided that they will have to educate every other person to make sure that everyone votes right? And they went on the campaign, teaching, talking, and all of that. To my greatest surprise, a lot of white women were like, oh, we are going to do the right thing. We're going to vote blue and all of that in order to save ourselves, only for election to come, pass, and to see that all of them voted against their own interest. And now everybody is suffering what you all voted. But you know what? Let's get into this video.
If you're a white woman who's doing anything in activist circles, you have to expect that black people and people of color are going to regard you with suspicion. You also have to make peace with it and not cry about it. A lot of women have no problem talking about how we regard all men with suspicion because of the high level of domination, coercion, abuse, and other dangerous behaviors that men as a whole are conditioned into. We make the argument that you never know which person is going to be the person that's a predator, so you have to treat everybody like a predator until proven otherwise. And then a lot of white women get really offended when that same reality is put onto us from black people and people of color. We don't see ourselves as the oppressor because we identify with the oppressed status of being women, and we have this logical fallacy that because we can identify with one marginalized and oppressed group in society, we can identify with them all. This is where intersectionality becomes really important, which is where a lot of white women especially drop out of the conversation. But the oppression that a person who is black and also a woman is going to experience is very different than the kind of oppression that a white woman will experience. And while they're both experiencing oppression and they can communicate from the language of oppression to a degree, it's completely disingenuous and dismissive for a white woman to not listen to the unique forms of oppression and systemic marginalization that people of color and black people experience. When I show up to conversations, I know that I've done a lot of work. But people who meet me and see my white womanness are not going to know any of these things. And even if they did, those things don't meet the bar of making me a safe person for them. I have to demonstrate my safety with the behaviors that I choose and the conversations that I have. And I have to continually demonstrate that safety because it's completely fair for a person who is marginalized below me and by people of my social group to not regard me with safety until they have seen me demonstrate safety continuously over a long enough period of time that they can let their guard down. I have to be available to be called in. I have to be available for conversations. This doesn't mean that I have to accept mistreatment, but it does mean that I can't experience guarded behavior as mistreatment because guarded behavior is not the same as treating me badly. This means that I can't inject the things that I know that I have done to deconstruct into conversations with people who aren't asking those questions. Because if I show up trying to prove myself in that way, I'm centering myself and I'm making the conversation about how good of an ally I am. And it doesn't matter how much work I do on myself, there are still going to be people in the black community and communities of color that are not going to trust me no matter what. Their not being able to trust me is a reflection of how poorly they've been treated by people who look like me. I have to do that work regardless of who pays attention or who trusts me. Because if I make my deconstruction conditional upon being accepted into the communities I'm deconstructing around, I'm still centering myself. So if you're a white woman working on deconstruction from white supremacy and colonization, it is really important for you to also internalize these beliefs. The bare minimum is deconstructing to a place where we are sitting at equal ground as much as possible. We don't get cookies for that.
If you're a white woman, you can use your privilege for good and actually be an excellent anti-racist ally. But so often white women tell me that they're scared of speaking up because they're worried that they'll get cancelled or that they'll say the wrong thing, which is a reasonable concern to have because pylon culture is deeply problematic. But I'm here to tell you that you can absolutely help. Now, anti-racism is a daily practice. Every single day you wake up and you choose to betray white supremacy. Because if you don't, you inevitably end up reinforcing it. White supremacy is the air we breathe, it's the water we drink, it's everything around us. So unless we consciously make the effort, we're not going to do it. So quite literally ask yourself, how can I betray white supremacy today? And look for those opportunities. Maybe when you're at the shopping centre, you see cops harassing a black person. You can watch, you can pull out your phone and record them. And you can say, hey, I'm just observing as a citizen. Maybe you're on the train and someone starts shouting slurs at an Indian person. You can go up to the brown person and just start having a chat with them. A great thing that you can do when it comes to bystander intervention is actually just go and have a normal conversation with the person. So for example, someone's being harassed on the bus, someone's just like absolutely screaming at them, telling them to go back to where they came from or whatever. The person getting yelled at and go, hey, so-and-so, it's been ages. Do you know what the time is? And just like start making really bullshit small talk, being like, did you see that sale at Maya? Oh, it wasn't good, was it? Just come up with stuff. What you're doing there is disrupting the status quo. And that other person who's doing the yelling sees that one of their own, a fellow white person, is not standing with them in silent agreement. I like to think of it as the 80-20 rule when it comes to allyship. 80% of the time, you're gonna be an awesome ally, and 20% of the time, you're gonna get it wrong and you're gonna get feedback. Now, what's important is how you engage with that feedback. That will actually determine whether or not you're considered cancelled or not. If you take feedback on with humility, with grace, if you go, okay, thank you for that feedback, I'm gonna go away and think about this. Is it okay if I ask you follow-up questions? You know, actually try and engage with what the feedback is. People can see that, they can feel that authenticity. If you are coming from a place of defensiveness and being like, oh no, I'm not racist, I do all these things, I did all this stuff for you, don't give us that. That's bullshit. We don't want to hear that. I trust someone when I say, hey mate, you are fantastic, but here's this one thing that you kind of got wrong. If they just go, oh, thank you so much for letting me know. Can I ask you some follow-up questions in order to do better next time? I'll be like, yeah, of course you can. Let's talk this through. Not everyone is going to be generous about giving you feedback and making you feel good when you get that feedback. That's also okay. Just accept it. Just be like, okay, that person, they're upset, they're angry, they've got a lot going on. It's okay, it's not about you. What is important is that the next day you get back up and you go, I am gonna betray white supremacy again. Because betraying white supremacy and being an ally isn't about what people think about you. It isn't about getting applause or a cookie. It's not about people saying, yeah, you're an ally. It's quite simply about betraying white supremacy every single day, whether brown and black people think you're doing a good job of it or not. You need to be getting up and making an effort. And not because of us, because it benefits you. Your oppression as a woman by the patriarchy is tied up in colonialism. I want you to be an anti-racist ally because you're a feminist, because you believe in destroying the patriarchy, and you know that by destroying colonialism, you also destroy the patriarchy. I want you to be an anti-racist ally because you have skin in the game, and you do. So start acting like it. Now, who am I to be going on about all of this? I'm Neha. I've got 15 years of experience in the social change world in Australia. I also co-founded and ran an anti-racism organisation called Democracy in Colour. Want to know more about my work? Head to my profile and
never been any kind of solidarity between the black community and other groups. That has always been a fallacy. There is also no such thing as allyship. Black folks, we only have each other. And that's it. That's what this last election proved. Do you want to know the bottom line reason why Kamala Harris did not win the election? It is because she is a black woman. And anti-blackness is global, y'all. It's not just here in the United States. And why is that? Think about it. This country, ever since the beginning, has disseminated horrible racist stereotypes about us. And those stereotypes have traveled around the world and influenced the way that other people, other cultures view us. Think about it. Now, just in the past 100 or so years that Hollywood has been in existence, there has been so many racist stereotypes disseminated about African Americans, that we are dumb, unintelligent, lazy, shiftless, that we have a pathological criminality, that we're hyper-violent, that our Black women are oversexed, that Jezebel stereotype, and also, thanks to Ronald Reagan, that welfare queen lie, that we don't contribute anything to society. That's an obvious lie, since everybody wants to appropriate the culture that we create, from music to art to even scientific inventions and breakthroughs. But see, a lot of this is not taught. That's why they want to ban books here and suppress real history and rewrite it. I even hate when I hear those of us who say, we're not our ancestors. Do you all not know that even when the transatlantic slave trade began, our ancestors fought every step of the way? There are records of them having uprisings on those slaver boats, either taking the boats over, or they would kill the crew and they would jump overboard into the sea instead of facing a life of enslavement. And our ancestors that made it to these shores, they fought every step of the way. This idea that we were complacent and docile in the fields. You remember when Kanye West said, well, slavery was a choice. Fuck him, by the way. Our ancestors fought, y'all. There were slave uprisings on those plantations left and right. They don't tell you about the enslavers who were poisoned by the enslaved, and the revolts that constantly happen. That's why we need to study real history. So all of those stereotypes and those lies about us have just made it around the world a couple of 100 times. And folks believe that. They have that in their head when they hear in other countries, African America, they have an idea of who and what we are, and it is far from reality. Many of you all won't like this, but the truth is that in many countries in Africa, they believe those lies. I believe it was Ghana a couple of years ago that had that media blitz about return home that was directed toward African Americans. And unfortunately, I've heard from quite a few that went over there, and what they discovered was that they were the targets of overcharging, scams, cons. I'm not saying everyone, but I'm just saying that you have to be careful if you decide to move to another country, even one that is in the mother continent of Africa. You need to do your research, and you need to make sure that you have reliable, trusted connections that can help you with any move anywhere overseas, even Africa. So it is not really surprising that every other group thinks that they are superior to us, whether it be Latinos, whether it be Arab Americans, Asian Americans. A dear friend of mine who was unalived directly due to COVID, when we were in college, he was in the Naval Reserves, so he went all over the world. And he said, Rod, it is wild how many people across cultures believe that we are the lowest on the totem pole. And so that plays itself out in anti-blackness that comes at us not only here in the United States, but from everywhere. We do not have any type of solidarity with any other group. Now, they will call on us because we have had to fight for equal rights and civil rights and everything else, and the fight continues, and they know that. So they will call upon us to march with them and protest with them when they are fighting for their rights. But if you notice, there is no reciprocity whatsoever. And so we need to get that in our heads that we only have each other, black men and black women. That's it, y'all. And the sooner that in our community we understand that, then we know exactly what the playing field looks like, and we can move forward with intention, protecting our own and looking out for our own best interests, because trust, no one else is going to. Y'all be careful out here. Hey, everybody. Something that I don't tolerate on my page is I do not tolerate white people and non-black people who claim that they are allies. And they ask me or people who comment under my videos to educate them, to teach them about anti-racism or how to be better allies. And I don't do it because those requests are disingenuous and phony. White people know what they need to do to be real allies to the black community. They know that the onus is on them to dismantle racism, a system of racial hierarchy that they created. The onus is not on black folk to teach them. Now, there are many black educators and activists and others who that is their life's work to do that kind of education. They need to seek those people out. But for the vast majority of the black community, we are not responsible for teaching other people how to be decent human beings and how not to be racist. Also, we live in the information age. We've had the modern internet since the early 90s. We've had broadband internet for what, 10, 20 years, y'all? Most of us have computers or access to them, and the vast majority of us carry these small portable computers we call smartphones. There are online resources like Google and YouTube really is a free online university. Information on almost any topic in living color you can see and listen to. So these people that come on my page and other black people's pages talking about educate us or we want to learn, so let us observe and how can we be better allies? What I do is delete those comments and block them. Not on my page. I have a zero tolerance policy. This past November 5th was unlike any election that we have had in this country. And once that damage was done, most of us in the United States celebrated the major holiday season. So all of these so-called concerned, anti-racist, white allies, they gathered together with their families. They either did one of a couple of things. They either, when the racist rhetoric started flying, they stayed silent as to not to rock the boat, or they kikied along with the racist jokes and joined in the conversations. And they do it every day in their workplaces, their places of education, where they gather to worship and socialize. And that is why this nation remains in the sorry state that it is in. Because, see, racism will only be dismantled by the ones who created it in the first place. The onus is not on black people. We can't do it. They have to do it. And whether they are white people who know that they are racist, they are conscious of it and proud of it, or whether they think that, oh, I'm a white liberal and I'm pro-black and pro-equality, they do not want to lose their privileged position. That's what equalizes all of them. See, it's going to cost them something to be real allies. It's going to cost them something if they upset mommy and daddy by challenging and calling out their racism. They might be disinherited. They may not get the house. Their children may not get a trust fund. Their college education may not be paid for. They may not get a down payment on a house. You see what I'm saying? They don't want to rock that boat. They don't want to be ostracized in their neighborhoods and on their jobs. But see, real allies, and there are a few, but you definitely can tell because their alliance with the Black community has cost them something. In their workplaces, their colleagues know we better not have this conversation around Sam and Susan. Their family and friends know we cannot conduct ourselves in this manner around Sam and Susan. Many are estranged from their families. Many have been disinherited or no longer receive financial support from their racist family. But they are doing the right thing because it is the right thing to do, and they do not seek an attaboy, attagirl, or a pat on the back from Black people. That's how you can tell a real ally. Another group of people who I don't tolerate on my page is pick-me's and yes-a-masses. Because see, Black people, we're being indoctrinated since day one to cater to the needs of white people. And they are used to being catered to, whether they realize it or not. And so I don't tolerate that. You were mean to Sally. She stood up for Black people. Good. That's what Sally is supposed to do. I don't hand out cookies. We need to stop giving our time and attention to these energy vampires and these disingenuous people, pretending that they support us, pretending that they are allies with their performative nonsense. So for me, on my page, nope, I do not tolerate it. And I suggest that you all consider people around you who call themselves allies to your community. Do the litmus test that I just laid out. You'll know. Y'all be careful out here.
What's up, y'all? Quick reminder, we don't have allies like that. If it ain't painfully obvious to you by now, we do not have allies like that. That's more than fine. We are literally 43 plus.
This is all I got from this video. Allyship is something that I personally do not believe so much in allyship, because one thing I know for sure is that there are people that are genuinely doing this job, but one or two persons cannot cover up every other person or every other people that are not, right? There are people that are genuinely doing this job. And Black people are no longer falling for any trick anymore, because where we are today was, anyway, I think Black people knew the people they've been working with all these years, because one thing I know for sure is that some people are very cunning. Just like the way election came. Before election, Black people were doing so much. They did a lot to make sure that everybody is on the right track, because all this that is happening today were the things they saw ahead of time, and decided to call everybody up so everybody can be on the same track, to know that if we do not, like, Black people do not do the right thing, it might result into something that would really be very bad. And in the end, even the ones that were like, yes, we are going to do the right thing, we are going to do the right thing. And in the end, the right thing was not done. And as you can see, everybody is suffering the effect. The worst part is that most of the things going on, or most of the things people are going through right now, like mostly Black people, where there is something they try so much to avoid. The reality is that if people, the way people say they are a Black ally and all that, if people actually do what they say, a lot would have changed. But the reality is that they don't do what they say. They just say it for saying sake. And also, if you care about Black people, you definitely will do the right thing. But because they do not care about you, how do you want them to do the right thing? So I do not believe a lot in allyship. I've said it before, I've said it again, because I have seen them within a twinkle of an eye change their mind. And if also Black people tell you that they do not trust you, no hard feeling, because you guys cannot be trusted. It's that simple. I have to say it the way it is. Some of them will say, I am doing the work, but majority of them that are doing the work blocked all their families on social media. They block their family, they block their friends. So who are you doing the work for? I want to laugh so hard, but I will keep quiet. Who are you doing the work for? Someone will ask, how did you know? I know. Because I have brought videos of some of them asking, I want to do the work, but I don't want my family to know that I am doing the work. I don't want my friends to know that I am doing the work. So who are you doing the work for? For me? Nah. You have to start with your family and friends. I will draw the curtain here. Bye for now.